I'll quickly introduce myself, and also I want to mention that this presentation is made jointly with one of our board of advisors members. Alex Lee is also a member of the board of advisors. So it's made together with Sertan Kukuyalsin, if I pronounce his name correctly. So in the interest of time, I'll move quite fast, but you can find me on the email address, and you can find me on LinkedIn for further questions. So I'll cover 3 topics today. So I want to mention that this will be the subject of a white paper by AKFI and in collaboration with Alex and with Vinculus Group. So after about 50 years, the single purpose capitalist, the one which was in 1972 was enunciated by Milton Friedman, that the only purpose of a company is the duty to the shareholders. And the company has to maximize the value it creates if and should and needs to abide to laws and regulations, but not do anything illegal, but maximize the profits, maximize the use of inputs, and minimize the cost of developing goods. We should notice that also this is pretty much the time that the industry was still an industry of goods. Software was not yet around, or was just in big IBM machines. Moving to stakeholder capitalism, the stakeholder capitalist considers, as I showed in the previous slide, considers the whole ecosystem of the shareholders, of the stakeholders. And as a result, and as Keith already mentioned it in details, this is about prosperity, it's about the people and the planet, or profit, people, and planet, which is also known as the triple bottom line. And what we've seen recently in the last week or so is the Security and Exchange Commission got very interested in the way that companies are measuring this triple bottom line, and they are trying to come up with proposed regulations. This is another way to look at the evolution of the companies from an accounting and economic viewpoint, started with the accounting profit and moving into stakeholders' value. And the stakeholders' value, it is many times also associated with the transformation of the company, which includes also the digital transformation. So how do we move to sustainable economic growth? How we take this model of triple bottom line and coerce or organize the forces of the companies, the energy of the company in the same direction. And I think it talked quite at length about it and has developed a complete model how to do it. On the top line, what we notice is that the companies have to move to a different strategic realm, to a different strategic point. And this is, the companies initially started with a functional strategy, what we have to build, how we build, very much on the process side. And then the companies eventually moved to start to look at business strategies, sort of raise a bit the shutters and start to look outside and see who is buying our products. We've seen companies coming with visions or mission statements like customer is number one, customer is our mission to be, and so on. But at the end, these were still shareholder capitalist models. And what we've seen much more recently, emerging maybe last 10 years, is the corporate strategy moving into aligning the triple bottom line, aligning the ESG, the sustainability, and the digitalization. So starting to take care about the environment and also the impact on the stakeholders. AKFI, the Actionable Knowledge Foundational Institute, and I'll end the presentation with an introduction to it, developed a 5 forces of sustainable strategy. I know that people that went to business schools think of the Porter's 5 forces. As we move from the shareholder capitalists to stakeholder capitalists, we feel that this model has to be updated, brought up to the triple bottom line, brought up to the sustainability model. I will not read the slide, but as you can see here, the 5 forces are ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. But also it includes the triple bottom line, which is economic or profitability, social, and environmental. And finally, it includes a force that it's very much neglected in the industry, it's kept separately, which is the transformation of the business to digital. The impact of digital economy, it's clear. We talk a lot about Industry 4.0, Healthcare 4.0, and so on, which is the impact of digitalization and digital transformation. So the question, and I think this was also raised by Alex and Keith before me, is how we come up with a model or come up with a framework where we can maximize, we can balance, not maximize, but balance shareholder value and stakeholder value in the same time. And the model that Ertan proposed is to look at how to take companies that are for instance, in the Alex mentioned that companies are, for instance, allocating too much to the stakeholders' value and too little to the shareholder value. And they have companies like Unilever and companies that like Danone, which is a big corp, that have seen pressure on the executives to deliver actually a combination of shareholder value and stakeholder value. So this is a dynamic model. It's a model that has to be in the focus of the board of directors as much as in the focus of the shareholder and stakeholders, as I indicated on my first slide. AKFI also is developing a toolbox. This is an example of the board of directors dashboard where companies can report on strategy, on action, and on profitability. So you can in a single page, in a single view, you can have a very good indication where the company is in terms of implementing its sustainable strategy, what actions needs to be taken and measured. Again, measurements are a big issue that I'm not covering in today's presentation, but everybody mentions either too many KPIs or too lax. And of course, how to gain profitability and maintain the profitability. So this is really a dashboard that we created for the sustainability dilemma that we talked about. And this is a data acquisition tool which we created in order to create the dashboard. I will conclude with an interesting case that we looked at not long time ago. And when we talk about the failure of about $11 billion that Ford had faced when they tried first time to electrify their vehicles and move to electric vehicles, some may remember that the company was really considered to not exactly to go bankrupt, but had huge losses. The CEO eventually had been replaced by one of the Ford scions, and the company changed direction. Was a very expensive lesson. I think they could have learned it on the cheap side. But what is remarkable is that starting with 2021, the company started to integrate its sustainability and financial report. Why is this important, you'll ask? Well, metrics are important. If you don't know what you measure, you'll never change. If you measure, you have to know that you measure correctly. And you have to be able to disclose your measurements so other people can judge the company, judge its sustainability, judge its ESG performance correctly and publicly. That goes back to the stakeholders. So what we did here, we took the sustainability case study and we mapped it over the 5 forces, which I presented earlier, the 5 forces of sustainability. And as you can see here from the annual report, from the integrated sustainable annual report, the company matches all the 5 forces. So it's a car company and they're moving to electric, but we can see that they are running on all cylinders on sustainability. So in conclusion, we are facing with the first trend change in 50 years. Actually, 1972, exactly 50 years ago, Milton Friedman issued his shareholder capitalist dictum, and time to change. A lot of things change, and one of the things which change drastically is the occurrence of Industry 4.0 based on digital transformation. Naturally, and I don't have to repeat, the sustainability requires new frameworks and tools. I demonstrated a couple of them today, and we covered the case study for Ford Motor Company, which is trying for a second time to go electric, this time with pretty big handouts also from the US government, same as GM and the other companies. So final slide. What's AKFI, or what is the mission of AKFI? We are looking for member companies that are trendsetters, such as Ford, such as Schneider Electric, such as Coca-Cola, to work with us on integrating the digital transformation with sustainability and ESG knowledge and come up with actionable plans. And I'll leave some time for